Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody, welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name's Dr. Lesley Phillips, I'll be your host for the next hour. Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and our goal is to uplift you, inspire you, and expand your concept of reality. Every week we have a different topic in the first part of the show, and then we open the phone lines for your calls. And you can also write to me at info@drlesleyphillips.com. And I'm joined in the studio by Corey.
That's me.
Yeah.
By the way, last week we forgot to tell everybody, last week was our 100th show.
Our 100th episode, so tonight's 101.
101.
Yeah,
It's almost like starting all over again.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So, let me ask you, have you ever heard of Masaru Emoto?
Who are you asking?
You.
Yes, I've
Because
heard of it.
if they've heard of it, I won't hear them when they say yes.
Well, you asked them to raise their hands.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, of course I have.
Yeah. Well, listeners, if you've never heard of this person, is a Japanese researcher called Masaru Emoto. He's no longer alive, but he believed that water was a blueprint for our reality, and that emotional energies and energetic vibrations could change the physical structure of water. And he did crystal experiments where he exposed glasses of water to different words, different pictures, and music. And then he froze the water and examined the aesthetic properties of the resulting crystals using microscopic photography. And he had some really fascinating findings, because he showed that water exposed to positive speech and positive thoughts resulted in visually pleasing crystals, whereas water that was exposed to negative intentions, speech, and thoughts led to ugly frozen crystal formations. And so, for example, if they attached the word love to a glass of water or a petri dish with water in, then a beautiful crystal would be formed. If they attached the word gratitude, a beautiful crystal would be formed.
But by attach, of course, you mean writing.
Writing. Writing, and then perhaps, I think writing it on a piece of paper and attaching that to the...
Those in written form, I mean.
And verbal.
Yeah, verbal and written.
Yeah, so he would every day say the word to the glass. And they actually also tried the same word in different languages. So they might have say love in 5 different languages, and actually found that very similar looking crystals formed regardless of the language.
Well, that makes sense, because words have power. I mean, we've done shows on that as well, the power of words. So if it has power in itself within one human being, then it also will have power with the water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vice versa as well. In essence, the emotions.
I don't think you're speaking into your microphone.
No, I was going somewhere, but actually I'll save that.
Okay. Yeah, and so he also collected water from different mountain lakes and streams and different cities around the world, and found different crystalline structures depending on where he collected the water. And so mountain stream and mountain lake water showed beautifully shaped geometric designs, whereas polluted water structures were distorted and randomly formed. And he also, like most major cities, ones with really large populations like Sydney, London, Rome, Hong Kong, Macau, had really ugly, awful not even crystals, just and interestingly, Vancouver made quite a nice crystal, and I think it's because of all the Rocky Mountains and where we get our water from. And he also exposed the water to music, and he got ugly designs from heavy metal and beautiful, lovely crystals from classical music. And he also did the experiments with cell phones, TVs, computers, and microwaves, and found that all of those things distorted the crystals. Apart from inspirational television show was a bit different. So, of course, our bodies are predominantly made of water. So, in general, we're about 60% water. And the brain and heart have a higher composition of water, 73% in the brain and the heart, and the lungs have 83% water. The skin is about 64%, the muscles and kidneys are 79% water, and the bones are still 31% water. So if you take that work that we were just talking about, Dr. Emoto's work, and consider that you're predominantly water, and then think about every day the thoughts that you have, the emotions that you have, the vibrational frequencies that you put out. You know, when you're in traffic having, road rage at somebody, for example, that energy is affecting the crystalline structure of the water. It's affecting the water in your body, and it's affecting you. So, but he also found, actually, when he was doing these experiments with some of the ugly crystals, that he could reset the water using electromagnetic energy waves. And if you think about the practice of energy healing, well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're resetting the energy using electromagnetic energy waves. Anyway, there was another experiment that he did called his rice experiment, where he poured water over cooked rice, and he labelled, there were just 3 jars of rice. One of them said, "Thank you." One of them said, "You are an idiot." And one of them didn't say anything at all. And every day for a month, he spoke whatever was on the bottle to the rice. So he said, "Thank you," every day to the "thank you" rice, and "you're an idiot" to the other one, and nothing to the third one. And after a month, the one that he said "thank you" to every day had begun to ferment, but it was giving off a really strong, really pleasant aroma. The one that he'd said "you're an idiot" to every day had turned black. And the one that he hadn't spoken to at all was rotting and a disgusting green-blue colour, because it was neglected. It was treated with indifference. And so non-communication is one of the worst things that we can do in our relationships and to ourselves. It's even worse than saying "you're an idiot" to somebody. So that's pretty interesting. And then, of course, that makes me think about, all of the traditions that we have in the world of blessing our food before we eat it, saying grace before we eat our food. Because as Corey said, words carry energy, they have great power. So, by blessing your food before you eat it, you're purifying the food. It's not just some outmoded, outdated religious vestige. There's actually an energetic reason for doing it, because the giving thanks for what you're about to eat, you're actually potentially changing the energy of the food and making it more positive, more attractive, and so that what you're putting in your body is of a high vibration, as opposed to some of the more negative energies that it might carry. And when you think about it, our food today is exposed to pollution, radiation, chemicals if it's plant food, for example. And so saying grace or blessing the food and giving thanks for the food is a really good idea to help release those heavier, denser vibrations before you eat it. And if you think about some of the farmed animals, yes, there might be some farms where the animals are treated humanely, but there are plenty of them where they are not. And because you buy your food at the supermarket, you have no way of knowing. And so some of those animals were frightened, full of pain and fear. And then you consume those vibrations that are stored in the animal flesh, and so
chemicals that they cause,
and the chemicals in the body of the animal that happen, the cascade of biochemical reactions that happen as a result of those emotions as well. And so by saying grace, or if you like it, doing an energy work on the food before you eat it, to cleanse and clear those denser emotional vibrations from it, can make the food, a higher vibrational frequency for you to eat.
I just had a little comical thing go through my mind, picturing a field full of cabbage with the tractor going down and all the cabbages going, ah! One thing that you haven't touched yet that I find interesting is that with respect to verbiage that changes water, and because there's so much water, I don't necessarily, not necessarily against this, but tattooing. So if we're tattooing the body and we're putting images on our skin that are
love, hate,
negative, that's like skulls and death scenes, and
that's a really good point. And I find fascinating, changing the subject slightly, in ancient times, one of the uses of tattoos in Europe was that they actually tattooed pressure points. So if somebody was traveling and they were in pain, their body was like a map, or you just press this point here, because they found a mummified body where the skin was still intact, and it was tattooed, and it was tattooed in specific acupressure points that related to specific ailments. And I think they might have even validated that this mummy had those ailments. And I thought, well, that is so cool. It's like you carry your medical records with you everywhere you go, and your treatment protocol as well. Yeah, pretty cool.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting.
So water's good for you.
Of course. You wouldn't be alive
good for
without
water.
it. Mm-hmm.
Works out equally.
Yeah. And then, just continuing on with the idea of food and purifying food, because of course, we say, oh, well, we better wash our hands before we eat, and, maybe wash the food, remove the chemicals on the surface. But you can also cleanse the food energetically. You can do it through your intentions, by being grateful, by opening your heart and feeling love for the plate of food in front of you. And you can actually, we talk a lot on this show about grounding and how you can ground yourself to release negative energies from your body. You can actually give your food a grounding cord. You can actually give your plate of food a grounding cord and energetically deliberately energetically cleanse your plate of food.
And give your body permission to use what it needs to use and discard the rest.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. Give your body permission to absorb what it requires and let go of what it doesn't.
So basically, what you eat is not as important as how you eat it.
Right, and of course, you can use mindfulness practices when you are eating, so that you are appreciating every mouthful, so that you are smelling and tasting every morsel and enjoying it and feeling yourself into a vibration of appreciation while you eat the food.
I love my chocolate cake.
Yeah, so use the senses as a spiritual practice when you eat to draw you into the present moment. And, you can use the activity of eating as a spiritual practice by focusing on what you're doing, by letting go of any other distractions while you're eating, and allowing the food to just bring you into the present moment, and chew slowly so that you can experience the layers of flavor in your food. And try it out, folks, and notice how present you become when you do that.
So I wonder if when kids bring home drawings and moms and dads put them on the fridge, I wonder if that's benefiting the food as well, or if it works, makes its way through that container.
Isn't that a cool idea? Well, everything is energy, and of course, I have an intuition card deck made of my energy paintings, and they definitely emit energy frequencies that lead to healing and shifts and changes in people. So I'm sure that's true. If a child is very disturbed, maybe being abused, and they do a painting that's put on the fridge versus a child that's really happy and fulfilled and feeling loved, I bet you it would make a difference.
Yeah, I think so. I wonder what the switch is for over here.
Don't try it. Yeah. And then of course, when we're sort of getting into the delving into the realm of body-spirit communication here, because you can speak, if you think that you're, depending on what organ you're talking to, between 60 and 80% water in different areas of your body. So just think about, you could communicate your body back to health. You could love your body back to health by sending those positive vibrational frequencies to different organs in your body.
It also shows that, it's important to drink lots of good quality water.
Yeah.
Keep topped up.
Yeah, true. Okay, so it's time for us to take a break. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. And Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show where we talk about metaphysics and spirituality, and tonight we've been having a chat about the work of a Japanese researcher called Masaru Emoto that studied the true power of water and the hidden messages in water. He discovered how our thoughts and our intentions and our words can change the crystalline structure of water. We'll catch up on the email questions a little bit.
Okay. That's my cue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a question from Bethany, an interesting one, and it says, who was I in my past life?
Who was she in her past life? It is an interesting question, because we might say, well, which past life are you referring to? Because there are many, but we'll give you one.
Lady's choice.
Alright, so I'm going to tune into this lady. And so first of all, I'll look at her in the present life. And it looks like you're just starting a new growth cycle. And the new growth cycle has to do with you validating yourself and recognizing yourself as a powerful, creative individual. who deserves to have and who deserves to be heard. And I'm seeing that you're actually bringing forward a specific past lifetime to help you with that. And in this past lifetime, you were a prince. You were royalty. So you felt very deserving. I mean, you never questioned how valid your life was, or what that you deserved to have stuff in that particular lifetime. And so, I'm seeing that you're using that lifetime to help you get over any feelings in the current one where you might feel differently than that. And I'll take a look and give you a bit more information about this past life. Well, I feel like you were a Russian prince, but maybe with some European heritage as well. So some mixed heritage, and with a very, very long ancestral line that you could almost draw back to very ancient times. Like ancient mystical past. And it looks like being able to know about the family lineage added to the feeling of, well, the royal blood runs through my veins. The blood of all these past known rulers runs through my veins. I come from a long line of important people. I'm important. There's no question of it. And, I'm seeing that you created that lifetime to experience exactly that. Believing in yourself. And without question, because there was nothing ever really that made you doubt that. I mean, everybody around you put you on a pedestal because you were royalty. So, let's look in the present lifetime, see if there's anything else to say. Well, the difference between that lifetime and this lifetime is, as you bring that forward, you're also wanting to work on the ego and the validation that, the understanding that you are valid and every other person is also valid. And we are all royalty. We are all divine. We are all unique aspects of God. And no one or other of us is better or worse than another when looked at from that perspective. And so you're wanting to validate yourself. It looks like in that past life you validated yourself, but you really didn't see a lot of the other people around you because they were servants. They were inconsequential to you. They were not really seen by you as people. And it looks like the growth this lifetime is, I want to validate myself, I want to love myself, but I don't want to do it to the exclusion of recognizing and validating others. So, there you go, Bethany. There's a past life that's relevant to you and what you're going through now. So that means we need to have another question.
Really? Question from Gina in Toronto. Gina wants to know, with many adversities in my life thus far, abandonment, sexual abuse, spiritual abuse, and brainwashing, how do I find my life purpose through this haze?
Oh, wow. Okay, Gina, let's take a look. Yeah. So, of course, your life path and your life experience has been one about losing your power so that you can regain it, so that you can realize your power. So that's the big picture, but let's take a look at you now. Yeah, and so, exactly, I mean, I'm seeing that all of those layers of experiences that you just talked about, you're still carrying around in your energy field, and hence the haze. Hence the haze, hence the lack of clarity, because you have the memories of those experiences, some of the energy of some of the characters in those experiences, but still being held as thought forms in your energy field. So I would say the answer is twofold. One is to let go of the haze, because you actually don't have to hold on to that haze. And so, letting go of the story, letting go of the thought forms, letting go of the identification with those experiences, and releasing the energy that you're carrying that pertains to those experiences. And if you want to know how to do that, one of the ways is by grounding, and you can go to the podcast on grounding on drlesleyphillips.com and listen to how to do that. And that technique will help you release and let go. So, as you heal yourself and as you release that, there will be less haze and there will be more clarity. And there will be more of your space taken up by you. And then, of course, you can learn to see and be clear in spite of some of this stuff being in your energy field. And you do that by developing your third eye, by developing your sixth chakra, by placing your consciousness on your pineal gland. And if that was something that you wanted to learn how to do, you can go to drlesleyphillips.com, and there's lots of courses and books and things that you can access that will teach you how to do that. But it literally, the pineal gland is the seat of the soul. And when you learn how to seat your consciousness there, it's like sitting in the eye of the storm. So there can be a massive haze around you. It can be crazy, things flying everywhere. But you can be sitting in stillness and peacefulness and calm. So those would be my two tips. Learn how to center and be neutral in your sixth chakra, in your third eye, and release the haze, because you don't have to have the haze.
Plus, there's over 100 podcasts on the website as well.
Yeah.
Just lots of listening. I have a question from Leah right here in Surrey. And Leah wants to know, does my dad want to tell me anything?
So presumably her dad is passed on. Okay, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look if Leah's dad wants to tell her anything. Give me a moment. And then, I don't know, I was going to say we'll go to a break, but maybe not.
Not yet.
Not yet. Leah, does your dad want to tell you anything? Well, it looks like he wants to say you worry too much. And you take things very seriously. And if only you could have the perspective that he has now that he's in non-physical reality, you would see that some of these things that you worry about and that you take very seriously, from the big picture perspective, are meaningless, are inconsequential. And so he wishes that you could hear that so that you can enjoy your life more. It looks like you tend not to let loose and enjoy yourself. Looks like another thing that you do is take responsibility for others and other people's happiness as well before your own. And so he just wishes that you could experience the love that is there for you while you still have a body. And not wait till the end to find that out. So, yeah, he sends you love, but he also just wishes you would not be so serious or worried about things or anxious. Okay, next one.
We have a question from Janice in McKees Rocks, USA. And she'd like to know, why am I so hung up on this particular guy? What type of relationship have we had with him before?
So another past life question.
I presume.
So Janice and a guy being hung up on him, and what's the deal? Let's take a look. So I'm taking a look at Janice, and I'm taking a look at... Oh. Gosh, Janice, your energy's kind of interesting. You look stuck. You look stuck in this concept, in this attraction to this person. It's like your feet are in cement blocks. And so let me look at why that is. I believe that there was a past life where you were, to some degree, imprisoned by this person or the property of this person. And it looks like a lifetime in ancient Rome where you were a slave girl, someone who could be bought and sold and owned by people. And it looks like he bought you, and your life was not your own. Your life was, it's sort of like, well, you lived to serve him. It wasn't like you had no needs. And you had to be at his every beck and call and do whatever he told you to, whatever he wanted you to. And it looks like you got sort of psychologically entrained or programmed to be energetically merged in that paradigm with this person. And so it's almost like feeling like you're meant to be attached to him because in that life you were and there was no escape from it. So I am seeing a past life in bondage to this person, and it just looks like it would help to get you into present time in the current life, because it's sort of like you can't stop looking at him and watching him, and you don't know why. And it just looks like in that life you were like a servant jumping around everything he wanted. So I'll give you a quick hand just to see what happens if I bring that into present time and help you let go of that. And let's see if the way that you're oriented towards this person shifts. And also, it looks like there was some programming. It's sort of like looking to him for your worth and your value. He decided on your worth and your value. He decided what you were worth. He decided what he wanted to pay for you. And so, I'm seeing that there's also this issue of worthiness that you're working on, and you're working on letting go of needing your worthiness to come from somebody else, and from somebody else liking you or wanting you or needing you. I'm still with some pastime energy there, so I'll just continue a little bit more and see what other layers come up. Just bringing you into present time. And so now it feels like you have a choice. Before it felt like I don't have a choice but to be, focused on this person. So to me it looks like we've helped you release you from that, so that now you have a choice and you're in present time. And in present time, that's what I would say. It's like, well, what do you want? Yeah, I'll leave it there. I think I'll go to a break now.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so we'll be back in a minute. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name's Dr. Lesley and I'm your host. And this evening we were talking about Masaru Emoto and the hidden messages in water. And now let's catch up on some of those email questions, Corey.
And this is a question from Cyan, like the color, in West Fargo, US of A. I want to know why I had a prior life bleed through after a car accident at age 9. What was the promise they made to me for not being allowed to remain dead after my death experience at that time? What was the purpose of making me come back?
Okay, let's take a look at Cyan and her near-death experience in her car accident. Okay, let me see. So, folks, it's always a bit awkward when I need to look a bit longer with us being on the radio. So excuse me if I go a little bit quiet for a minute to look at this one. Well, on one level, it looks like you had unfinished business. It looks like your life was not complete. It was not the time that you were meant to die, but it looks like you had second thoughts because you said, well, I know I planned all this stuff out, but it's proving to be pretty painful down there. It's not quite as free and easy as I thought. And so the choice was, well, you know what? You can continue with this life, or you can go to another life, but you still have the same challenge on your path. You still have the same goal. So really, you've already begun here. So it looks like that was part of it. And didn't say, Corey, what was the promise she made or what was the promise they made? They made a promise to her.
Well, it doesn't read as a promise. There's no point of a promise there. It basically says, I want to know why I had a prior bleed through after a car accident. What was the promise they made to me for not being allowed to remain dead? What was the purpose of making me come back?
Okay, so the purpose of making you come back was to complete unfinished business, and you hadn't completed this life, and looks like you could have chosen not to come back, but you would have just had the same stuff. And the prior life bleed through. Let's see. Why did she have a prior life bleed through? Well, actually, I'm going to slightly adjust what I said before. Because it's funny, I was seeing sort of two layers of energy. One that was what had been accomplished up to age 9, and one what was still to come, and that hadn't been done yet. And it looks as though you had a choice. You could have said, well, okay, I've completed this phase, I've completed this, and I'm going to move on. And it looks like they said, but hey, you know what? You don't need to start a new life. We can just slot in this other unfinished business from this particular life, and you can continue with this life, and and complete that cycle, if that makes sense. So the unfinished business was from the prior life that you brought forward into this life. And let's see. Well, it looks like it has to do with being in a female body. It looks like it has to do with having boundaries within a female body, owning your space within a female body. And it looks like you really had to work on owning your space after the accident, and also just through those teenage years as well. Let's see what else. The promise that they made to you. That they would support you. That they would assist you. That they would help you get through it. That you wouldn't be alone. That spirit is always there supporting you. So I think I've answered all the parts of that now. So, do we have another? I know we do. We have like 10 others at least.
There's lots of them, yeah. This is a bit of a longer one. Okay, and this is from Cloud. And Cloud would like to know, hello. First of all, I want to ask, I haven't seen any weekly card readings from you. Do I have to resubscribe, or do you not do them anymore?
Oh, let me answer that first. So, there's, when you subscribe to the free card readings on freecardreading.com, you will get about a year of free card readings, just over a year, about a year and 2 months. And, then they stop. But what I've actually done is I've created a place on my website where you can go and do your own free card readings. And so in the next week, I'm actually going to be sending out an email to everyone like this lady who's reached the end of that 14-month cycle to say, hey, anytime you have a question, you could just click on this link and you can draw a free card on my website.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm always the last to know. Okay, and her question now. And my question is centered around my solar plexus. I was wondering if you could take a look at mine and tell me what's going on with it. It's an area I'm working on right now in my life that I would like insight on. How to balance and get out of my ego. Also connected to this chakra is a sense of purpose. And for as long as I can remember, I go into hospitals and feel like I should be there doing something. And I also feel a strong pull towards nursing. But it scares me to follow this path because I know I have many options in healthcare. And there are other things I'd like to do there, but would like to know why I feel a pull this way. Thank you. I'm going to have to speak to this lady and teach her about the punctuations.
All right, well, I'll do my best. There's a lot of aspects to that question, and we've got about 5 minutes left, so let's see. I'll give you about 4.5 minutes. All right. So looking at your solar plexus, your third chakra, I'm going to give you a healing, because I can see it looks like it needs a healing. The energy's not flowing through it very easily. And yeah, I mean, this is the chakra where you can get into that competition with others thing, and it looks like you're dealing with some concepts around competition that say, well, I don't know how old you are or whether you're in school right now, but it would be like this. It would be like, well, there can only be one top of the class and it has to be me. And I'm the one that has to be the best. And then therefore everyone else has to be worse than me. And so it's like that comparing yourself to others and that whole competition thing. And it looks like all of that programming doesn't come from you. It looks like it comes from, I would say, your father, some parental influence anyway, that put pressure on you to be the best, to excel, to succeed. And now you have that very strongly in your ego construct, and at the level of your third chakra, it comes out in comparing yourself with others and competing with others. And part 2 of the question, which was, why am I drawn to hospitals and potentially nursing? Let's take a look. Looks like you have a past life as a nurse. Looks like somewhere like the 1940s-ish. Looks like in America in the 1940s you were a nurse. And it also looks like you do have a strong desire this lifetime to express that healing impulse. And it just looks like you're identifying with that past life because that was the most recent past life where you were involved in healing. And so again, for you, just like the past lady, it would be helpful to get into present time with who you are now so that you can choose depending on what you want, you in this particular body personality, and it might be nursing or it might be something else, but I'm seeing that's why. It's like you know that stuff, you know how to be a nurse, you know about hospitals because you've done it before. Alright, so I don't think we've got time for another question today. No, but we'll be here next week, so do listen in, and if you want to send us a suggestion on what topic to talk about, write to info@drlesleyphillips.com. If you want to be on that free card reading list, go to freecardreading.com and sign yourself up. And what else, Corey?
Well, just come to the website. There's lots of great stuff on the website.
Yeah. All right. So see you next week, folks.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.